Capital Station did not allow mistakes. It floated above a blue gas giant, cold, silent, controlled. Deep inside its core sat Laboratory Ring 7, high security, biocontainment level red. 6 alien scientists stood around a sealed chamber. Inside the chamber floated a small glass vial, human blood. The sample belonged to Kevin Jenkins, the same human who survived 7 direct pulse shots, the same human who kept moving after impact. Dr. Veth Ka, lead xenobiologist, activated the scanner. A thin blue beam passed through the dark red liquid. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then the entire lab flashed crimson. Level 4 biohazard detected. The doors slammed shut, containment shields dropped, air filtration roared to life. One junior scientist stepped back in fear. "That concentration is illegal," he said. "No civilian organism can survive that level of combat stimulant." On the main screen, chemical structures appeared. Long chains, rapid bonding reactions, extreme neural activity markers. Dr. Veth Ka narrowed his eyes. "Run comparison with known military narcotics," he ordered. The computer processed. Match, 82% similarity to high-grade battle enhancers. Match, 76% similarity to Predator shock serum. Match, 91% similarity to banned war compounds. Silence filled the lab. "So the human was enhanced," another scientist said. "He must have taken something before combat." Dr. Veth Ka did not answer. He stared at one line of data. Source classification, endogenous. He zoomed in. Endogenous, produced within the organism. "That is not possible," whispered the junior scientist. Dr. Veth Ka replayed the scan. He slowed the data feed. The compound was not foreign. It was created inside the human bloodstream, generated in response to stress. The junior scientist shook his head. "No species manufactures combat drugs naturally." Dr. Veth Ka opened the combat footage from the Jenkins incident. The room darkened as the recording began. Kevin Jenkins stood in a corridor. Alarms blared. Pulse fire struck him once. He staggered. Pulse fire struck again. He did not fall. By the 4th hit, his movements changed. His pupils widened. His breathing increased. His muscles tightened. By the 7th shot, he was advancing. "Freeze frame," Veth Ka said. The image locked. The computer overlaid internal readings taken from remote sensors. Heart rate doubled. Blood pressure surged. Pain response dropped sharply. Cognitive processing speed increased. "He did not enter panic," Veth Ka said quietly. "He entered calculation." The chemical name flashed on the screen. Adrenaline. The junior scientist swallowed. "That level would kill our species." "Yes," Veth Ka replied. He opened another file. Human stress response documentation. When threatened, the human brain sends a signal. The adrenal glands release adrenaline into the blood. The body prepares for violent action. Muscles receive more oxygen. Vision sharpens. Time perception slows. "It is a survival reflex," one scientist said. Veth Ka shook his head. "No, it is more." He magnified the neurological data. Human brain activity did not collapse under stress. It reorganized. Strategic regions activated. Problem-solving centers increased output. Risk evaluation shifted towards aggression. "Most species freeze or flee," Veth Ka explained. "Humans adapt." The computer completed the full analysis. Adrenaline production capacity, extreme. Recovery time, rapid. Repeat cycle potential, high.
"They can trigger this state again and again," whispered the junior scientist. The containment chamber light reflected off the blood vial. It looked harmless, still, quiet, ordinary red liquid, yet the lab had sealed itself in fear. Veth Ka ordered a simulation. If one human entered full adrenaline surge in close combat, survival probability for an average alien soldier, 14%. If two humans synchronized under shared threat, 6%. If a human unit trained for coordinated response, below 2%. The junior scientist stared at the numbers. "This is not natural evolution," he said. "It is exactly natural evolution," Veth Ka answered. He pulled up environmental data of Earth. High-gravity world, predator-heavy ecosystem, frequent natural disasters, extreme climate variation. A Category 12 Deathworld, he said. Constant danger, constant stress. The junior scientist understood. They trained their biology by surviving. Yes. Another alert appeared on the side screen. Human Jenkins requesting physical exercise clearance, despite internal injuries, despite tissue damage. The junior scientist looked confused. Why would he strain his body now? Veth Ka watched the live feed. Kevin stood in a recovery chamber, bandages across his torso, bruises visible. He lifted weighted metal bars slowly, controlled, focused. No fear, no rage, only discipline. Because his body expects threat, Veth Ka said. Adrenaline does not frighten him, it empowers him. The lab fell silent again. One scientist finally asked the question none wished to speak. What happens if they choose to trigger this state intentionally? Veth Ka did not answer at once. He studied the blood sample one more time. They do not need drugs, he said. They do not need external enhancement. He turned off the biohazard alarm. The red lights faded, but the tension did not. They carry a factory of combat drugs inside their own chests, whispered Veth Ka. The scientists looked through the glass at the peaceful stars beyond Capital Station. They had believed human strength was muscle. They had believed human resilience was bone density. They were wrong. The weapon was chemical, invisible, instant, self-generated. And this was only one human. If every human possessed this capacity, if every human could become stronger when afraid, then fear was not a weakness, it was fuel. The containment chamber light dimmed. The blood vial floated quietly, ordinary to the eye, catastrophic in potential. Dr. Veth Ka ended the session with one final statement. "We have not captured a durable species." He paused. "We have welcomed a self-arming organism into the galaxy." Outside, Capital Station drifted in silence. Inside, 6 scientists understood something terrifying. The human body did not break under stress. It transformed. And they had only begun to study it.
The footage played again, slow, frame by frame. Inside Laboratory Ring 7, the alien scientists stood in silence. On the main screen, the corridor battle replayed. Kevin Jenkins took the first pulse hit. His body reacted. Pain signals fired. Muscles tightened, but he did not fall. "Zoom on facial structure," Dr. Veth Ka ordered. The image sharpened. Kevin's pupils expanded, his jaw locked, breathing deepened. "This is the exact second," Veth Ka said. "Adrenaline release." Data scrolled beside the video. Heart rate 78, 110, 160, 190. Blood oxygen rising. Glucose levels spiking, neural transmission speed increasing. One scientist shifted uneasily. "At that level, our species would lose motor control."
Humans gain it, Vethka replied. The second pulse shot struck Kevin in the shoulder. His body staggered sideways, but instead of retreating, he moved forward. Slow motion, Vethka said. The playback slowed further. Kevin's steps lengthened, not wild, not random, measured, predatory. The junior scientist spoke quietly. He is injured. Why does his movement improve? Vethka highlighted the neural map. Adrenaline suppresses pain receptors. It increases muscle fiber output. It narrows focus. He paused. It also sharpens intelligence under threat. The third and fourth shots hit. Smoke filled the corridor. Other species would have frozen. Their combat doctrine showed it clearly. Under heavy fire, most alien soldiers entered shock state. Vision blurred, hands trembled, command processing slowed. Kevin did not tremble. He adjusted. He calculated distance. He used the wall for cover. He moved in bursts. He is not fleeing, the junior scientist said. No, Vethka answered. He is solving. The fifth shot struck near his ribs. Kevin gritted his teeth. His body leaned forward. Then something changed. His speed increased. Not reckless speed, controlled acceleration. He is entering full surge, Vethka whispered. The computer overlaid stress hormone concentration levels. Adrenaline peak approaching lethal threshold for most species. Yet Kevin's body stabilized. He should collapse, said another scientist, but he does not. The sixth and seventh shots landed. Kevin's arm trembled briefly, then steadied. He raised his weapon. He aimed. He fired with precision. 3 enemy targets fell. The lab remained silent. The video ended. No one spoke for several seconds. The junior scientist finally broke the silence. This is not fight or flight. Vethka nodded. For humans, it is fight and think. He opened a comparative chart. Species A, stress leads to panic. Species B, stress leads to confusion. Species C, stress leads to paralysis. Humans, stress leads to amplification. Muscle strength increased by up to 30%. Reaction time reduced. Risk tolerance expanded. Problem solving accelerated. They become more capable when threatened, the junior scientist said slowly. Yes. Vethka enlarged another neural scan. Observe prefrontal cortex activity. Under normal stress in other species, this region shut down. In humans, it intensified. They remain aware. They do not lose reason. The junior scientist studied Kevin's final movements. He moves like a predator. Incorrect. He moves like prey that survived predators. That sentence stayed in the air. Earth archive footage appeared on the side screen. Large carnivores, fast hunters, sharp teeth. Humans running, climbing, building traps, using tools. They evolved in constant danger, Vethka said, so their bodies learned to convert fear into advantage. He pulled up another statistic. Human soldiers in extreme combat sometimes lift objects beyond normal strength limits. Human civilians trapped under debris sometimes move heavy structures. Adrenaline override, temporary limit removal, self-damage possible, success probability increased. They sacrifice long-term safety for short-term victory, said one scientist. Yes. The junior scientist replayed Kevin's final charge. He looks calm because adrenaline does not only create rage, it creates clarity. He enlarged Kevin's eyes during the surge, focused, locked on target, no wild emotion, no uncontrolled scream, only intent. This is why they frighten us, not their strength, not their bone density, their response. Vethka closed the combat file. Most species hope danger ends quickly. Humans prepare for it. Another screen activated. Psychological analysis of humans under stress. Common patterns, increased determination, heightened creativity, willingness to endure pain, cooperation under shared threat. They synchronize, Vethka said. If one human enters surge state, others often follow. The junior scientist's voice trembled. A chain reaction. Yes. The simulation returned. 2 humans under shared threat. Combat efficiency doubled. Decision coordination improved. Survival odds of opposing forces dropped sharply. The junior scientist looked at the projection of Capital Station. What if they feel cornered? Vethka did not answer immediately. He opened a new file. Historical record, human wars, mass mobilization under fear, rapid technological innovation, weapons developed in short cycles. They do not break when pressured, Vethka said. They innovate. The lights in the lab dimmed slightly as energy rerouted. The silence grew heavy. The junior scientist asked his final question. Can they control this surge? Vethka replayed Kevin in the recovery chamber. Calm breathing, steady hands, lifting weights despite injuries. Yes, he said, they can trigger it, and they can train it. The realization spread across the room. This was not random biology. It was refined through generations. Fear was not an enemy to humans. It was a tool. Vethka turned toward the containment chamber again. Inside floated the quiet blood sample. Ordinary, still. He spoke softly. When threatened, they become stronger. When wounded, they become sharper. When afraid, they become dangerous. He looked at the others. This is not a weakness. It is a design. Outside the station, stars drifted peacefully. Inside, the scientists understood the deeper truth. The human body did not collapse under pressure. It sharpened into something efficient, precise, relentless. And if fear made them stronger, what would happen if they ever chose to live in constant fear on purpose?
The interrogation room was simple. White walls, 1 table, 2 chairs, a single recording drone floating in silence. On one side sat Charlotte Hayes, human, age 26, captured during a transport inspection near the outer trade lanes. She did not look dangerous. She looked tired. Across from her sat Dr. Vethka and 2 behavioral analysts. The glass wall behind them reflected her image. Small frame, light build, no visible weapons. The junior analyst leaned toward Vethka. This one appears physically inferior to Jenkins. Vethka nodded. That is why she is valuable. The recording began. Dr. Vethka spoke calmly. Charlotte Hayes, do you consider your species strong? Charlotte blinked. She looked confused. Strong compared to what? Other predators on your world. Charlotte gave a short breath of laughter. You're joking, right? No, Vethka said. We require accuracy. Charlotte leaned back. Humans aren't strong. The alien analysts froze. Vethka tilted his head slightly. Explain. Charlotte shrugged. We can't bite like a tiger. We can't run like a cheetah. We don't smell like a wolf. We don't have claws. We don't have thick fur. We don't have venom. The analysts exchanged glances. You classify yourselves as weak, Vethka asked. Yeah, Charlotte replied. We're kind of fragile. Vethka opened a holographic projection. Images of Earth predators appeared. Lions, bears, crocodiles, sharks. These are dominant life forms, he said. Charlotte nodded. Exactly. You survive among them. Yeah, with tools.
The room grew quiet. Tools, Vethka repeated. Charlotte leaned forward slightly. Humans are endurance hunters. We can run for hours. We can throw things accurately. We work in groups. She paused. We don't win because we're stronger. We win because we plan. The junior analyst whispered, Category 12 Deathworld, apex predators confirmed. Vethka focused back on Charlotte. You believe you are weak because you lack natural weapons? Of course, she said. We had to invent ours. The word struck harder than she realized. Invent. Vethka activated a second projection. Stone tools, metal blades, primitive bows, fire control. You created external claws, he said. Charlotte smiled faintly. Yeah, pretty much. And these predators, Vethka continued, they were stronger than you? Way stronger. And faster? Yes. And more durable? Absolutely. The junior analyst felt a cold sensation along his spine. Then how did humans dominate? Charlotte's eyes narrowed slightly. We cooperated. She tapped the table lightly. 1 human is weak. 10 humans are dangerous. She leaned back again. And 100? That's an army. Vethka processed the data silently. Human physical metrics compared to major Earth predators. Bite force, inferior. Claw damage, none. Natural armor, minimal. Night vision, limited. Yet global dominance, total. You feared these predators, Vethka asked. Of course, Charlotte answered. Anyone who didn't was stupid. Fear. Again, the same word that activated adrenaline, the same trigger that sharpened Jenkins in combat. So you lived in constant threat. Yeah, she replied. That's life on Earth. She looked around the sterile room. This place feels soft. The junior analyst felt unsettled. Soft. Earth archive footage filled the sidewall. Storms, volcanoes, blizzards, earthquakes, predators stalking prey. You survived this world, Vethka said. Charlotte shrugged. Not alone, together. She paused, then added quietly, humans who try to survive alone usually die. The statement echoed inside the room. Group survival, shared stress, collective response. Vethka studied her carefully. You consider lions strong? Yes. Bears? Yes. Sharks? Yes. And humans? Charlotte hesitated. Then she gave a small smile. Smart. The analysts shifted. That is not the same as strong, the junior analyst said. Charlotte looked him directly. Strength doesn't matter if you can outthink it. Silence. Vethka pulled up comparative data. On Earth, humans eliminated or controlled nearly every apex predator, through traps, through coordination, through fire, through tools, not by natural claws. You call yourselves weak, Vethka said slowly, but your planet calls you dominant. Charlotte's expression changed slightly. We earned it. How? She answered without hesitation. We learned. She leaned forward. Every time something stronger killed us, we studied it. She tapped her temple. Then we adapted. The junior analyst felt a rising discomfort. If humans are weak, he whispered, what do they call strong? Vethka opened another archive. Human documentaries about apex predators. Lions tearing prey apart. Sharks attacking seals. Bears overpowering animals twice their size. These are strong, Charlotte said again. And yet you surpassed them. Because we never stopped trying. Her voice lowered slightly. Fear keeps you alert. Failure makes you improve. Vethka connected the pattern. Adrenaline surge, tool creation, group cooperation, relentless adaptation. Humans did not dominate because they were strongest. They dominated because they refused to remain weak. The junior analyst leaned closer to Veth-Ka. If this species calls itself weak, his voice trembled, what do they call powerful? Veth-Ka opened another archive, human documentaries about apex predators, lions tearing prey apart, sharks attacking seals, bears overpowering animals twice their size. These are strong, Charlotte said again, and yet you surpassed them, because we never stopped trying. Her voice lowered slightly. Fear keeps you alert. Failure makes you improve. Veth-Ka connected the pattern: adrenaline surge, tool creation, group cooperation, relentless adaptation. Humans did not dominate because they were strongest. They dominated because they refused to remain weak.
The data archives from Earth were vast. Capital Station downloaded them slowly. Stories, myths, religions, philosophy, war records, fiction. The Alien Research Council believed they understood human biology. They were wrong. The next discovery did not come from blood. It came from language. Inside Laboratory Ring 7, Dr. Veth-Ka stood before a massive projection wall. On the screen was a single human word: demon. The translation software struggled. Closest meanings: evil spirit, inner darkness, corrupting force, embodiment of chaos. The junior analyst looked confused. Is this a predator species? No, Veth-Ka replied. It is a concept. He enlarged the data cluster. In human cultures across history, demons appeared everywhere. Ancient carvings, religious texts, modern films, psychology journals. They imagine enemies that do not exist, the analyst said. Veth-Ka shook his head slowly. No, they externalize internal conflict. He displayed another pattern. Humans did not only fear external threats, they feared themselves. Rage, greed, violence, despair. They gave these impulses names: demons. The junior analyst processed this. They created a word for their own destructive capacity. Yes. The room grew quiet. Veth-Ka opened a second file: Human Innovation Under Pressure. When cornered, humans invented. When trapped, humans designed tools. When losing, humans changed strategy. They explore mental paths other species never attempt, Veth-Ka said. He pulled up problem-solving simulations. Alien species tended to choose direct solutions. Humans tested extreme options, risk-heavy tactics, unpredictable moves, sacrificial strategies. They consider actions we classify as irrational, the analyst said. Yet many succeed, Veth-Ka answered. He displayed footage of early human experiments: fire control, metal forging, chemical reactions, rocket launches, failure after failure, explosion after explosion. Still they continued. Most species abandon dangerous experiments, the analyst said. Humans repeat them until success, Veth-Ka replied. The projection shifted. Philosophical debates. Humans arguing about morality, meaning, existence, power. They question everything, the analyst whispered. Yes. Veth-Ka enlarged neural activity comparisons. Human imagination centers highly active, abstract thinking unusually strong, capacity to simulate threats that do not yet exist. They fight enemies before the enemy appears, Veth-Ka said. The analyst frowned. That is inefficient. It is preparation. Another projection showed war simulations. Humans planned for worst-case scenarios, planetary invasion drills, artificial intelligence uprisings, alien attacks. The analyst stared at one simulation labeled Defending Earth Against Unknown Superior Species. "That is us," he said quietly. Yes, humans had imagined them long before first contact. They prepared for threats they never confirmed, the analyst said. Veth-Ka nodded. This is the demon archetype. He zoomed into psychological data. Humans create internal monsters. They challenge them. They fight them. They train against them. Even in peace, they invent struggle. The analyst felt unease. They manufacture adversity. Yes. The word demon filled a conceptual gap for the aliens. Other species avoided chaos. Humans studied it. Other species feared internal conflict. Humans wrote stories about it. Other species suppress aggression. Humans analyzed it. They are mentally overwhelming, the analyst whispered. Correct. Veth-Ka pulled up a final comparison chart. Species stress response, avoid danger. Species innovation rate, moderate. Species imagination scope, limited to survival. Human stress response, engage danger. Human innovation rate, high under pressure. Human imagination scope, unlimited. They thrive on adversity, Veth-Ka said quietly. Remove hardship, and they become restless. The analyst thought of Jenkins lifting weights despite injury, the chemical surge, the constant drive. They are not content. No. The projection changed again. Human stories about demons often ended the same way. The hero confronts the demon, the hero grows stronger, the demon is defeated or controlled. They do not deny darkness, they confront it. The analyst processed a disturbing conclusion. If they view struggle as growth, then conflict is not tragedy, it is opportunity. The room dimmed. Another file opened. Historical crises on Earth, world wars, pandemics, natural disasters. In each case, human technology advanced rapidly afterwards. Weapons improved, medicine improved, infrastructure improved. They accelerate during chaos, the analyst whispered. Yes. The demon archetype was not superstition, it was adaptation. Humans expected darkness, so they trained for it. They prepared mentally for collapse. They imagined worst-case futures. They rehearsed survival. The analyst asked the question slowly. If they see adversity as necessary, what happens when they reach a galaxy with none? Veth-Ka looked at the peaceful star maps, stable trade routes, long-standing treaties, low-conflict sectors. They will search for challenge, he said. The analyst felt a chill. They may create it. Veth-Ka turned off the projection. The word demon faded into darkness. The silence in the lab felt heavier than before. Humans were not only physically dangerous, their minds did not seek comfort. They sought growth. They did not collapse under pressure. They expanded. And if a species that thrives on adversity finds a galaxy too calm, what demon will they choose to fight next?
Capital Station moved in perfect order. Trade routes stable, security strong, no active wars. For most species, this was ideal. Peace meant progress. Safety meant comfort. For humans, something else happened. The observation unit shifted focus from battle footage to daily behavior. Kevin Jenkins had fully recovered, bone fractures healed, muscle tissue restored. He returned to assigned duties, cargo inspection, security patrol, routine maintenance. At first, performance remained high, then subtle changes appeared. The junior analyst noticed it first. Productivity declining, he said. Veth-Ka examined the data. Kevin's reaction time remained sharp, strength levels normal, adrenaline baseline stable, but attention drifted. He requested additional tasks, denied. He requested combat drills, denied.
He requested advanced hazard simulations. Denied. Reason for denial? Vethka asked. Station regulations, the analyst replied. No current threats. Kevin's log entries appeared on screen. Need something harder. Station too predictable. Request high-risk assignment. The analyst frowned. He desires danger. Yes. Another human unit on a nearby deck showed similar patterns: increased restlessness, frequent exercise, competitive games escalating in intensity, small arguments becoming physical training matches. Is this instability? The analyst asked. Vethka shook his head. It is stagnation response. He opened a psychological file. Human brains reward challenge. When difficulty drops, dopamine levels decline. Motivation decreases. Mood shifts downward. They require struggle to maintain equilibrium, Vethka said. The analyst looked unsettled. Most species seek comfort. Humans seek growth. Kevin's personal request file appeared again. Formal petition submitted. Removal of social compliance implant. Return to Earth. Reason? No more challenges here. The analyst stared. He is leaving a stable position for uncertainty. Yes. Why? Vethka displayed Earth environmental feeds, extreme weather, competitive industries, physical training facilities, military recruitment ads. Because Earth offers resistance. Kevin's final recorded message to Station Command played. I appreciate the opportunity, but this place is too safe. I need something that pushes back. Silence filled the lab. The analyst processed the words slowly. Pushes back. Yes. Vethka opened long-term human behavior records in low-conflict zones. Depression rates increased when no external goals existed. Risk-taking behaviors rose. Exploration projects expanded. Frontier missions volunteered quickly. They expand when bored, the analyst said. Yes. The simulation system activated. Scenario projection. Humans placed in fully stable galaxy. Conflict probability over time, rising. Innovation curve, exponential. Resource competition increases as expansion accelerates. They invent new objectives, the analyst whispered. And if none exist? Vethka asked calmly. The simulation adjusted. Humans create artificial competitions, political rivalry, economic dominance, technological races, eventually military escalation. The analysts stepped back. They generate conflict to avoid stagnation. Yes. Vethka replayed footage of human recreation zones on Capital Station. What began as harmless sport evolved into extreme competition. Obstacle courses became harder. Rules changed to increase difficulty. Minor injuries ignored. They simulate danger when real danger is absent, Vethka said. Kevin's final departure footage appeared. He walked through the docking corridor. Calm expression. No anger, no fear, only quiet resolve. Destination? The analyst asked. Earth, high-risk construction zone, Vethka replied. He chooses hazard. Yes. The analyst considered the chemical data again. Adrenaline factory inside the chest. Stress sharpening cognition. Now a new pattern. Boredom dulling them. They are most stable under pressure, the analyst realized. Yes. The room grew colder. The conclusion formed slowly. A calm human is not safe, the analyst said. No. A bored human is searching. Yes. Vethka opened a classified file. Historical record. Human golden ages. Periods of peace. Followed by exploration bursts. New continents discovered. Space programs initiated. Weapons upgraded. They never remained still. If the galaxy becomes fully stable, the analyst said quietly, they will expand until they meet resistance. And if resistance does not exist, the analyst looked at the projection of peaceful star systems. He answered slowly, they will create it. The simulation displayed a final projection. Humans reach technological superiority. External threats minimal. Internal competition rises sharply. Arms development increases without provocation.
new challenges designed intentionally. The analyst felt unease deeper than during the biohazard alarm. Fear makes them strong, he said. Yes. Pain makes them sharper. Yes. And boredom makes them dangerous. Vethka did not disagree. He looked once more at Kevin's departure shuttle leaving orbit. Humans did not collapse when challenged. They thrived. But when nothing opposed them, they became restless, and a restless predator does not sleep. It hunts. If humans required something greater than themselves to stay balanced, what would happen the day they realized nothing in the galaxy was greater anymore?
The Galactic Council chamber was never recorded. No public archives, no external feeds, no witnesses. Capital Station transmitted the findings through encrypted channels, biochemical analysis, combat footage, psychological reports, behavioral projections. Every seat in the circular chamber was occupied. High representatives from 12 major species. At the center floated a hologram of a single object, a vial of human blood. Dr. Vethka stood alone beneath the projection. He did not exaggerate. He did not dramatize. He presented data. Humans produce extreme combat stimulants internally, he began. Under stress, their strength and cognition increase. He displayed the Jenkins incident. 7 pulse impacts, continued movement, precise retaliation. Murmurs spread across the chamber. He shifted to the psychological analysis. When threatened, humans cooperate. When challenged, they innovate. When injured, they adapt. He paused. When bored, they expand. The chamber fell silent. A council elder spoke first. "You are suggesting they are unstable." "No," Vethka replied. "They are incomplete without adversity." The word echoed. Incomplete. Another representative leaned forward. "And if adversity is removed?" Vethka activated the final simulation. Projection. Stable galaxy. No major wars. Resource abundance. Human technology continues to rise. Within 3 generations, humans surpass all known military thresholds. No external rival. Internal competition intensifies. Expansion into unclaimed systems accelerates. The lights dimmed slightly as the projection displayed human fleets growing larger. "They do not tolerate ceilings," Vethka said quietly. The elder's voice lowered. "Do they know this?" "No." "Do they understand their superiority?" "No." A long pause followed. One representative from a peaceful trade species asked, "What if we limit their growth?" Vethka shook his head. "Direct restriction will trigger resistance." Another voice asked, "What if we confront them openly?" Vethka responded without hesitation. "That would unify them." The chamber grew colder. The data replayed one final time. Adrenaline surge, strategic clarity, collective coordination. Fear did not divide humans. It aligned them. The elder spoke again. "What do they believe about themselves?" Vethka displayed Charlotte's interview. "We're weak," she had said. The chamber watched in silence. "They believe they survive through effort," Vethka explained. "They think something greater always exists." Another representative whispered, "And if they discover nothing greater exists?" The simulation advanced to its final stage. Human fleets unmatched, alien defense probabilities near zero, technological innovation unchallenged, galaxy stability broken by human ambition alone. The projection faded. Darkness filled the chamber. The elder stood. "Then we must ensure they never reach that realization." Murmurs of agreement followed. Vethka remained still. A formal decree was drafted. Policy 1. Maintain competitive parity illusions. Policy 2. Introduce artificial challenges when necessary. Policy 3. Never reveal full galactic vulnerability metrics. Policy 4. Encourage human ambition toward distant goals. The elder sealed the decree. Humans must always believe there is something beyond them, a greater threat, a higher summit, a stronger rival. The chamber lights brightened slightly. Hope did not return, only caution. One final question rose from the outer ring. What if they uncover the truth on their own? Vethka answered calmly. They eventually uncover everything. Silence again. The elder looked toward the stars projected on the chamber ceiling. For now, he said slowly, we guide their focus. He spoke the final line into the record. Humans must always have something to aspire to, something they believe is greater than themselves. His voice lowered. Because if they ever realized they are the apex predators of the stars, the chamber remained motionless. Then the galaxy is truly lost. The decree was sealed. Transmission ended. Far away, on Earth, Kevin Jenkins stepped into a high-risk construction zone. Heavy machinery roared. Storm clouds gathered on the horizon. He looked up at the dark sky, and he smiled. Somewhere deep inside his chest, a chemical factory waited. Not sleeping. Never sleeping. Waiting for the next challenge.